Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you've spent, literally any time looking into fitness recovery lately, you've definitely seen the massive hype around magnesium. It's touted as this ultimate magic bullet for sore muscles, cramps, and post-workout fatigue. But today, we're going to look right past all that marketing and dive straight into the actual clinical data. We'll build a really clear, structured look at what the science actually says, how to pick the right form, and, maybe most importantly, the critical safety rules you absolutely need to follow. Let's kick things off with a pretty wild number, 100. When researchers filtered down the clinical data looking at magnesium for exercise-induced muscle soreness, they found a 100% agreement rate. I mean, every single qualifying study concluded that magnesium supplementation reduced muscle soreness or protected muscles from damage. Sounds like a total slam dunk, right? Well, hold on, because there is a major catch we need to explore, and the context behind this number is exactly why we're here today. All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the evidence funnel, look at this untested protocol, break down glycinate versus citrate, and finally wrap up with some crucial safety rules and interactions. Let's get into it. Starting with Section 1, the evidence funnel, filtering the science. Okay, so there was this 2024 systematic review published in the Journal of Translational Medicine, and they wanted to find the absolute truth about magnesium and muscle soreness. To do this, researchers scoured the scientific databases and pulled an absolutely massive 1,254 published papers on active individuals and muscle outcomes. But here's where it gets super interesting, the sheer drop-off. After removing duplicates and applying really strict quality filters, out of those 1,254 papers, only 4 survived to reach the final analysis. Just 4! But remember that hook from a minute ago? All 4 of these surviving high-quality studies pointed in the exact same positive direction for reducing muscle soreness. Now here is that major catch I promised you. Across those 4 surviving studies, which, by the way, covered completely different activities like heavy bench pressing, downhill running, elite basketball, and stage race cycling, there were only 73 total participants. 73. That's literally fewer people than you'd see at your local gym on a Monday night. So yeah, the agreement rate was 100%, but the actual evidence base, it's incredibly thin. And this brilliantly illustrates how easily data can be misinterpreted if we aren't paying attention to who is actually being studied. Look at this contrast. A massive Cochrane review looked at magnesium for muscle cramps, a totally related but different issue. They looked at 11 studies with over 700 older, non-exercising adults. The result? Absolutely zero benefit. But for muscle soreness in active athletes, yes, a benefit was found. It's the exact same mineral, tested on completely different populations for different problems, yielding completely opposite verdicts. Context is literally everything here. Moving on to Section 2, the untested protocol, the perfect recipe. So, because those 4 studies did see a positive effect on soreness, the authors of the review decided to synthesize the data and give us a master protocol. Based on human biology, here's what they recommend. First, take it in capsule form. Second, dose it roughly 10 to 20% above your recommended daily allowance, which is going to put you somewhere around 340 to 500 milligrams, depending on your size. And finally, take it about 2 hours before training, because that aligns perfectly with how long your body takes to absorb it. But get ready for the ultimate aha moment of this entire review. Literally zero of the 4 included studies actually tested this exact combination. In fact, 3 of the 4 didn't even bother to record what time of day the participants took the supplement. This master recommendation is built on a very sound understanding of absorption rates, sure, but this specific protocol has never actually been tested as a complete package in a controlled study. Basically, the recipe exists, but nobody has actually cooked it.
All right, Section 3, glycinate versus citrate and how to choose your form.
So let's say you decide the evidence is promising enough to try it out. You immediately hit a wall at the supplement aisle because there are just so many forms. Magnesium citrate, for example, is highly water-soluble. Because of its osmotic nature, at higher doses, it pulls water into your gut and acts as a very reliable laxative, which is great if you're dealing with constipation, but terrible if you aren't. Glycinate, on the other hand, is completely neutral on your GI tract. It's the go-to choice for sleep, anxiety, and daily use without any unexpected bathroom trips. Let's actually dive a bit deeper into magnesium glycinate. It's a chelated form. All that means is the elemental magnesium is bound to two molecules of the amino acid glycine. That protects it from competing with things like calcium and iron in your gut. But here's why it's a real game changer for fitness. Glycinate is the only form in that 2024 review that actually had a trial backing it specifically for resistance exercise. We're talking heavy bench press, DOMS, or delayed onset muscle soreness. For lifters, it is for sure the most targeted choice.
And that brings us to Section 4, Safety and Interactions. These are crucial.
Now, this is an area that is almost entirely ignored by people selling supplements online. While magnesium is generally super safe, there's one absolutely critical contraindication. Your kidneys are the organs responsible for excreting excess magnesium. If you have severe kidney disease, meaning an eGFR, which is just a measure of kidney function of less than 30, your body just cannot clear it out properly. Taking supplements in that state can lead to hypermagnesemia. That is a dangerous, toxic level of magnesium in your blood that can cause severe muscle weakness, dangerously low blood pressure, and even cardiac events. So if you have severe kidney impairment, never, ever, ever take it without a doctor's approval.
We also really need to talk about drug interactions. You see, magnesium acts as a binder in your digestive tract, which means it can accidentally neutralize other essential medications if they're in your stomach at the same time. I like to call this the rule of three. The three major classes of drugs affected are specific antibiotics, bisphosphonates, which are used for bone health, and thyroid medications like levothyroxine. Mix magnesium with any of these and your meds simply will not absorb properly. They'll just pass right through.
To avoid that whole mess, you have to follow a really strict spacing timeline. Let's say you take levothyroxine. That happens at hour 0, usually first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. You have to wait at least 2 hours before taking bone medications or antibiotics, and then you've got to wait a minimum of 4 full hours before you can safely take a magnesium supplement without it messing with your thyroid meds. Timing is literally everything if you want your prescriptions and your supplements to actually do their jobs.
Wow, okay, we've covered a ton of ground in this explainer. You now know way more about the actual clinical evidence, the different forms of magnesium, and the safety protocols than almost anyone out there hyping it up online. But I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Do you rely more on a pill or your plate? Research shows a massive portion of us actually falls short on magnesium in our regular diets. And the reality is, a supplement is probably only going to move the needle for your muscle soreness if your food intake is already lacking. So maybe take a good hard look at your plate today before you go reaching for the pill bottle tomorrow. Thanks so much for learning with me.